Thank you for having me up here today. You know, it was back in 1997. I think I won the lottery. Three things happened to me in a real short period of time. I married my wife. A month later, my daughter was born. And another 30 days from there, I met a fat guy with a bald head from Arkansas with glasses and a goatee who recruited me into an industry I couldn't even spell the word for, called health insurance. Knew nothing about it. But lo and behold, my wife made the second best decision in her life at that time when I got the call to come aboard, and something I knew nothing about. She supported me to do so and gave me the kick out, foot in the butt out the door. And 10 days later, I got my first commission check. I don't know what I sold the guy. He didn't know what he bought. I was happy. He was happy. And I did that quickly because I followed what the fat guy with the bald head from Arkansas with glasses and the goatee told me to do. I did exactly what he said. And since 1997, now it's 2018, and there has been a host of changes in our industry that you have to be able and willing to adapt to. We saw so many people run and stop selling health insurance in our industry when Obamacare became law. I looked at it as, well, there's going to be less people doing what it is that I'm doing. I don't want to go change something else. And lo and behold, we're still here doing strong. And with all of those changes that have come about, and all of the time I did some math, I look at the numbers every week as the arrows are pointing up. I think it's mind-boggling. Sarah Lev did how many applications last year? 2,400?
2,500.
She at least ran 2,500 appointments to write 2,500 applications, right? If you think about it.
True. Yeah.
Over my career, I have to estimate I've ran maybe 15,000 to 20,000 appointments. And over that time, if I were to evaluate what it is that I do to help the new agent today, June 24th, today, 3rd, what's the date? Today, right now, through the rest of this year, because that's what we have. Next year, we don't even know what is going to be available in the market, is to keep things simple. 80% of all of my appointments I've ever ran and proposed products is the same thing. The story's a little bit different, but what I'm doing is the same thing. And I keep it simple by drawing pictures for my clients in their mind through their conversations that I have. I was successful in teaching something to somebody before I even came up here because Carlos now understands there's a word called PICTORIALLY. He didn't post it in the hub that I had to look it up. It is a word, he said. I was taught I can't even tell you, draw a picture for your client. Use your stories. If you don't have a story, use someone else's story. But draw pictures. And in doing that, I keep it simple by really down to two things that is consistent each and every time for every client I help. Access to care and economics. I can overcome just about every objection I have from my client if I get one through those two areas. Does anything in the world matter to somebody once their health goes south other than getting better? Nothing in the world matters. And in order to get better and have quality of life afterwards, access to care is what it is you're buying today, first and foremost, when you're buying a health insurance product. Where you can go, who you can see, and I'll draw those pictures in different forms with my clients. Simple forms, big forms. When I'm proposing and comparing products, we all have what's on the marketplace within the ACA. Everybody has access to that. And I use that as a barometer and a comparison to my client for what else might be available out there for them. Yes, maybe 10% of my clients require ACA products. So I will take them there. I hate doing it, but I write other products with it. They might qualify to get a silver plan with a lower cost, but it's still They go with the bronze plan and get sickness inpatient and accident medical expense or critical illness to combat those higher costs and have the lower premium. I run the economics. But with that comparison, and I have access, and they're looking at 80 hospitals. Many of us do business here in Illinois, right? Raise your hand if you do Illinois applications. Just everybody here in the room. My top PPO ACA product has about 80 hospitals in the PPO network. You can't go to Rush, you can't go to Northwestern, can't go to, what are the top three? I lost it. Northwestern, Rush University, and University of Chicago. They're not in there. But I have other products, whether it be HII, whether it be United Healthcare, whether it be National General, that gives nationwide PPO access. So I'll say to my client, hey, if your kid happens to fall and break their arm between their wrist and their elbow, not a simple break, but a break that requires orthopedic surgery, can you just go back to any medical facility out there? They deal with broken bones all the time, right? But if it was that significant where you need some rods and pins and orthopedic surgery, would you want to have the orthopedic surgeon on call for the day? Or maybe have your son stabilized and take him to Rush University Orthopedic Surgical Center, where they have the #4 pediatric orthopedic surgery in the country. What would you want? And if that was switched to cancer, now bring this story up to my client. If my best friend of my life, my wife, God forbid, ever is diagnosed with cancer, I am on the first plane to MD Anderson or Johns Hopkins University. How does Joe Criblow in training call it? Bob's Barbecue and Butcher Surgery and Butcher Shack. Where would you want to go? It's your best friend. Have access to the best quality of care, or go to where they tell you to go. And when you're running in the economics of it, you've got other products. If you're only selling term plans with no supplements, you're shooting yourself in the foot. J.R. Jordan stands up here and he trains telling stories. He is shown pictorially. Would you rather get a get well card in the mail? And they're picturing a get well, or a big fat check, and they're picturing a big fat check, right? So, I had Dan asked me to put notes and such. I sent some stuff to Ken. This is the first time I see it other than what I had there. But whether it be from again, starting today on a new product sale, all of the people who are calling on leads, calling through the yellow pages, walking through the doors and shaking hands, creating those contacts, today moving forward, what do? Keep it simple, I suggest. Ask the client those questions. Is it where you want to go, or do you want to be told where to go? I've eliminated my competition in the ACA market when they tell me they want to go to the choice of their choosing. I need to see Northwestern has to be in there. Well, that just eliminated all of this, didn't it? Because if you go to Northwestern with any one of those products, unless you have the hard workaround on the HMO, which is just insane, right? What's your deductible? $15,000 after a $1,500 copay. I'm bringing this up here. 80% of the time, I'm sharing access with my clients. I draw stories for my clients where they consents for a moment. When I want my kid to see the best orthopedic surgeon and find out I owe nothing, 25 grand, my deductibles met, I didn't even pay it, or go to Bob's Butcher and Sugar Surgery Barbecue Shack and not know who's taking care of the kids on. Sure, it might get fixed, but at the end of the day, you're going to get a big fat bill of $7,350 on that $25,000 claim. Rather than talking premium, I use the word economics. If I can keep the cost, your overall economics of what's coming from your pocket annually down, not just in what you're paying monthly to the insurance company, but also more importantly, if and when you need to use it. What does that mean? Well, if they're seeing it and you're screen sharing or you're in front of the client and you're showing them what AME means, accident medical expense benefit, this is going to take care of that for you in the event of any one type of accident or injury, as simple as a bee sting with an allergic reaction. That's not a sickness. It's an accident, injury to a broken hip, a broken bone, or torn rotator cuff, any type of a claim. There's a big chunk of what possibly can happen medically, right? I've eliminated your risk of even having to be concerned about that by this other product. And so I, have it listed up here for you. We got a couple of things. I'm glad I brought this up. When I talk with my client and they're seeing the ACA plan, there's 12 available where your county is. They've got 4 PPO plans and 8 what I call the 3 stooges of healthcare plans. Emo! And I get the chuckle. So I usually will mark just the PPO plans and just pull up the PPO plans so they can see that difference. You got your Blue Cross PPO bronze plan. It's $1,887, $14,000 out of pocket only as long as you stay in the network. If $2,500, this is my family. By the way, I'm paying under $700 a month for my United Healthcare plan that I have for myself and family that was issued way back in 2004. Thank God. 700, not counting the supplements that I have with it, compared to 2,500. I've got a 10,000 max out of pocket for my family. This would give me a 14,700. While we get, if that person is generally enjoys good health, their family, and they concerned about keeping the roof over their head, their gas filled in the car insurance, payments, and milk in the fridge, and they're looking at a plan between now and the end of the year. He just lost his job. He's being offered Cobra. Doesn't like that. He's looking at the ACA. It's pretty expensive. Here's a plan that's going to have a $5,000 deductible with 100% coverage. It's half the premium. And 3 months from now, the deductible's what? Yeah. With this plan. Why wouldn't I bring that up over for the next 6 months? July 1st is right around the corner. We got National General as well. I add them with, typically today, what I do is I'll add a plan enhancer with a sickness inpatient benefit. I used to do Triomed because it was simple, boom, boom, done. Yeah. But I was shooting myself in the foot. And I recognized that when I was sitting in the front here and J.R. Jordan was right here, or I was sitting here actually, and I ended up writing while he was training my own critical illness policy for me right there. This was 4 months ago. And I've been writing a ton of Colorado banker accidental life critical illness now as well. Because I have their accident expense covering their deductible. If they wind up in the hospital because they're sick for any reason, I use pneumonia, often at times as an example. So we got the kid with the broken arm between now and the end of the year, that happens. And then your wife in November catches pneumonia. She's in the hospital for 9 days, has a $40,000 claim. And I'm sure looking at that. This with that expense now, or I'm looking at $900 cost with 76 and they have no expense. But then when I'm done there, I say now we've got one other area that we need to kind of look at, because there's not any type of a product that's out there that gives you a full package. Find me one. I have to actually help me build the package to cover all these areas. And at the end of the day, we've got everything covered except for the lightning bolt strike. If cancer, heart attack, or stroke should occur, something of that nature. And then I bring in the critical illness policy on and above that. And 6 out of 10 times, I'm getting the bites on the critical illness. Spending my 4th of July holiday week, I got a stack of checks from Colorado Banker that just keep coming in the mailbox. I don't take the wire. It's the only company I get it, like the old days where I actually see it. I like that. My wife doesn't. I'm taking all those checks and bringing them to house. Oh, that's what my family's spending our money on. I said to my wife, I said, don't worry about the bank account. I have this for our trip. She's like, whoa, you didn't spend any of those? I said, no, it's just, so, that's coming up. So, you know, again, I could talk about a whole bunch of different topics being up here. I'm willing to spend time with anybody, but 80% of my appointments on a week-to-week, day-to-day basis seem to be the same story, a little bit different with my demographic. And when I look at what I'm discussing with my clients, it always comes down to access and economics. Give me an objection where I'm not going to be overcome it with what you've already agreed with me as the client in the front side. So I'll often start it off that way. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, the two things that are most important to me, and I'm drawing that picture in their mind, is access and economics. Access, giving you the choice to go where you want to go, where you're going to get the best quality care, have the best outcome for a better quality of life. Once in a while I throw, would you like to, if colon cancer was diagnosed, you want to live the rest of your life with a coloscopy bag or without? So there's a quality there, right? So access is key. Going to the best doctors and hospitals, not having to drive 3 hours to see a doctor from a third world country, and when you get there, you have to stand in line with all the other sick people waiting. And then the economics. You draw those numbers and they see the difference. Sometimes you might have to make some adjustments, but when you draw the numbers and you see the difference, I mean, go back to those numbers, run it. If I took the cheapest bronze plan, paid it the next 6 months, my kid breaks her arm and I end up having to pay $7,300. My wife catches pneumonia, I end up having to pay $7,300. If somebody does the math, $1,800 from July 1st through December 31st times 6 months is how much? And if I had those two claims happen and I had to pay that out of pocket, get a number. In comparison, $1,000 a month, $993. Wife breaks her arm, or wife catches pneumonia, kid breaks their arm. At the end of the year, what's better for your pocket? Great. What's your social security number? Just go to a closed question.
Hey, Nick, great presentation. What I wanted to bring attention to is what he does when he does this pictorial, is it pictorially, it's a new word.
Or just say draw a picture.
For me too. You're actually projecting ownership, right? So as he's going over scenarios, people are connecting with what happens when they go to the doctor, what happens when they need to go for wellness prescriptions. Bigger stuff is even better: hospital, surgery, emergency room.
Sales is the transfer of one's own emotions, passion, and belief to the prospect of the products that you're proposing. I wake up with a passion every day to help somebody. I won the lottery back in '97. 3 things happened to me all in a short period of time. And it's paid over years to me. But I've learned to transfer my belief and my passion. Nobody can take me off my high horse when I'm talking about health insurance and products, because I know what I'm doing for my client is right. For 21 years, 15,000 to 18,000 appointments I've ran. A lot of sales have been made and customers have been helped. And I think over my entire career, I have one complaint with the DUI, and it was because of wire transfers that were being done from the insurer. I had nothing to do with it, but my name was tagged to it. One. So I have that belief that I know what I'm doing is right. I have clients who thank me when it comes down time to having to actually use it. Those who don't, when they're not using it, or they don't make use of it, enjoy the relationship that they have because they're not getting raked over the coals for that other stuff.